everybody, I'm Kestra Pingree, author, I always say writer, which, you know, comes with the territory, and singer, songwriter, artist, whatever. I do a lot of things, mostly books, and I'm back with another book review today. This beauty. Most of my reviews have been for this series, The Scythe. I don't know what they call the series. I don't remember. I don't think it's called the Scythe trilogy. I could be totally wrong. Last book in the series is The Toll, and I finally did it, guys. After all these years, rereading the first two books, I read The Toll. Alright, don't mistake my reaction for not liking it, because I totally liked it. It left me feeling, you know when you finish a series, and you just kind of need to put the book down and think about it for a minute, or all day, or all week. Yeah, it's like that. You just need to process it and go through all the stages of grief. Neal Shusterman writes the best endings. I don't know. Something that always ruins a story for me is if the ending is not well earned, or it comes out of left field. I don't know. I know all of you must have experienced a story like that, because there are plenty of bad endings out there. But this is not one of those. This ending, I don't know, wraps everything up super nicely while leaving it open, you know, because characters' their lives and worlds go on even after the immediate story ends. And it was very satisfying. I loved this series. I want everyone to read it now. I'm trying to convince my family, who doesn't read, to read it. I have one member of my family who reads. We'll see if I can get her to read it. Or some of you guys, that would be nice too. Read this book. Read this series specifically, don't start with this book, that would be confusing. Obviously, if you haven't read Thunderhead or Scythe, this review is going to have spoilers. You've been warned. So back to this sci-fi, dystopian, mashup world. I don't know, that's what I would call it. Or I guess you could probably just call it a sci-fi. I'm not really sure where they classify this book, because dystopian's kind of been killed in traditional publishing because of the Hunger Games and everything. It just got so saturated afterward that people didn't want dystopian anymore. I'm not one of those people. So, now that I've read The Toll, and I'm reviewing The Toll, I can finally talk about the end of Thunderhead. Alright, you guys. Who else has read this, and what did you think of that ending? It was big, right? And it left a lot of questions. Especially what the Thunderhead did to everyone around the world after Endura sank, right? It turned everybody unsavory. Everybody in the world, except for Grayson Tolliver. So Grayson was marked unsavory to help the Thunderhead in that book. And then, by the end of the book, he's finally freed from his sentence. And then he's the only one who can talk to the Thunderhead. Oh, how the tides have turned. Changed. Throughout the series, we've talked about tonists quite a lot, and their great tuning fork and all these different symbols that are important to their religion. And at the end of the Thunderhead, Grayson found sanctuary with a tonist sect. And one thing leads to another, and he essentially becomes the Toll, for which this book is named. The tonists, I don't know, kind of like a prophet in a way. There's threes in this religion: the tone, the toll, and the thunder. So it kind of gave me goosebumps, because the tonists talked about the great resonance throughout all the books, the previous two, Scythe and Thunderhead. And at the end of Thunderhead, the Thunderhead screams when Endura sinks the Scythe Island, you know, killing everybody on it. And the tonists recognize that as the Great Resonance, which the tone, the toll, and the thunder when everyone's unsavory and Grayson's the only one who can talk to the Thunderhead, it kind of makes him a magical being, and everybody flocks to him. As you can imagine, this does a lot in the book. This book really ramps up fanaticism in religion. Like, I don't know, it's very, very interesting. And how the Thunderhead uses that and Grayson to get to the end of this story, which, whoa. There were all these mentions throughout the previous books and this one too, about how everybody wasn't able to go into space. Like, humans were not able to get off of Earth, and therefore gleaning was necessary, right? Because only so much room down here. And we learn about why that is the case. It's not because the Thunderhead was wrong and miscalculated that these colonizations, you know, on Mars and the moon and whatever, wouldn't work. It was because of scythes. Surprise, surprise, right? I think we all kind of figured at this point. And of course it was Goddard, and he won't die! We thought at the end of the first book that he was done, but nope. And, I don't know, it's spectacular how that came around, because I didn't talk about this in the last review, because spoiler, but Scythe Rand brought him back using Rowan's friend Tiger's body. Neal, you sure like to do body swaps. Something similar happens in Unwind, if you guys have read that. It's fun reading a lot of books from the same author, because there's always similarities, no matter how different the story is. And I think that's kind of to be expected, because an author has their brain, and their brain does what it does. And I like seeing these similarities, or how they're taken and changed, you know, even by the same author. I don't know, you guys will have to tell me what you think about that. Rowan and Citra were on Endura, the Scythe Island that sank, but Scythe Curie sacrificed herself to ensure that they would live. And that was a really emotional moment in Thunderhead. I was really upset to see her go. But Rowan and Citra especially, is needed in the Toll. She's the one who brings all of these scythe sins to light. And it's because people will listen to her too. So she's adept at digging around in the Thunderhead's back brain, because the Thunderhead isn't allowed to tell anybody about scythe doings. And she learns all this stuff about the colonies, about how it was a scythe order, and how because of that Thunderhead was never able to say anything about it or do anything about it. Yeah, it got really messy, you guys. The world's falling apart, there's wreck and ruin and war, and all the while the Thunderhead can't do anything about it because it's people versus scythes, and Thunderhead can't do anything about scythes. We're introduced to more new characters. Each book introduces new characters. Jerry is a character we're introduced to in this one. And I liked Jerry. I would have actually liked to have seen more of Jerry. But that's probably just a selfish thing, because I liked the gender fluidity. There was a part in this book that I guess I won't talk about because it's pretty much near the end, where, I don't know, something concerning Jerry and the Thunderhead, and I was just like, I don't know. It was intense. You know how I told you I like AIs who want to be human? Well, I'm pretty darn sure the Thunderhead has a thing for Grayson, and take that as you will, but Grayson is the Thunderhead's favorite human. I mean, why else would it choose him to be the only one it talks to and turn everybody else unsavory? Like, Grayson's the only one worthy of helping it reach the end of this book. And yeah, that thing concerning Jerry concerns that too. Poor Thunderhead. That's all I can say. Poor Thunderhead. Sorry, my voice was going weird there for a minute. Anyway, like I said, the ending was entirely satisfying. It was as heart-pounding as the end of Thunderhead. Honestly, it was a ride. The whole book was a ride. I'm just really satisfied, you guys. Everything felt inevitable in the sense that people talk about, you know, twists and all that, but I like a story that can lead you, just subtly, to the end so that you figured all this stuff out just before it happens. And it's just, I don't know, it has a satisfying factor to it. Because I wouldn't say that anything in this book really hits you by surprise when you finally get to the scene, because you had hints and clues that you could have, oh, I think this is gonna happen, and then it does happen and you're like, I saw that coming. I don't know. Neal's really good at that. All in all, I'm really sad to see these characters go, but I'm satisfied with their story, and that's it, you guys. I finished the series. Now you need to go read it. I would recommend this series, I said to dystopian readers, while that's still true. I think even just sci-fi. You know, and of course YA readers. Or just speculative fiction readers. Maybe even fantasy. But you have to like a bit of sci-fi if you're gonna like this series. I've got links below to The Toll if you would like to buy it. As usual, there are affiliate links at Google Play, Amazon, and Apple Books, which means I get a little bit of money for recommending the book to you if you decide to buy it. It's all you. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you would like to see more of me, and I'll be back with another review really soon. I'm not sure what of. Maybe I'll actually read The Hunger Games. Yes, I've never read The Hunger Games. It's a sin, I know. Because it's basically the building block, the foundation of that dystopian craze, so probably should. I'm currently reading The Way of Kings, but that's gonna take me a minute to read. And that's it. Thanks for joining me.